So you might notice this is not my typical environment. Ever since I started all the social media stuff, from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook, now to YouTube, I constantly have questions about how I got into crabbing or how I got into DIY or anything. You name it, people have been asking. I have been trying to think of a good way to kind of share my story with you guys, but I'm the kind of guy where I just overthink it so much because I really want it to be done right that I just don't end up doing it at all. I came up with this idea to try to share my life through pictures from about 2012 to current. So I'm 26 years old. I was born in 1996. Lindsay was born in 1995, right? Mm-hmm. We grew up in this age where social media was kind of just becoming mainstream. I remember when I got my first iPod Touch, it came with Instagram on it, and that's when I got started in 2012. So I have actually kind of done a really good job of documenting my story from 2012 until current without me even really having any idea. So what we're going to do is every week, Lindsay and I are going to sit down and we're going to start from the very beginning of my Instagram at the very first picture from December 29th, 2012. And we are going to go through 5 or 10 pictures and share them with you guys, and I'm just going to kind of tell you where I was at in that stage of my life. You're going to hear my side of this. You're going to kind of hear about the friends that I had and still have and how Lindsay fits into this whole picture. And so we're going to start at the very first picture, December 29th, 2012, and work until current.
So the thing you have to understand about the way our generation used Instagram when it first came out is that nobody was calculating when to post, what to post, why to post it. You kind of just threw everything on there if you thought it was interesting. There was no calculation of aesthetic. There was no kind of timing out like, oh, this might be a good time to post. This is what's going to get the most likes. There was none of that. It was basically a photo journal in a way.
And I agree. And I totally forgot what I was going to say. It totally left me. Social media has become a huge part of my life, just in everything that I do, and it's been integrated into both of our lives. Lindsay and I recently got engaged, and I think that this is going to be something that is really cool that her and I can do together. It's basically going to just be a conversation between her and I talking about where I was in life and kind of telling my story from my own recalling it and through these pictures that we get to share with you guys. So just for a little bit of introduction, if you don't already know me or Lindsay, my name is Luke McFadden. I'm a 26-year-old commercial crabber in Maryland on the Chesapeake Bay. I operate my own crabbing business. Done it for about 8 years now. I've recently, the past couple years, gotten into social media. About 1.3 million on TikTok and 60-some thousand and counting on Instagram and 50-some thousand on Facebook, and currently we're at about 16,000 on YouTube.
But this is where he started, right here in December of 2012, and we're going to share it all with you.
Lindsay she's 27 now, but she's my fiance. We've known each other for 10
years this year.
And we've dated for about a year and a half, almost.
Yeah.
And I just recently put a ring on it. That's a little bit about us, but the thing is, if you pay attention to this series, you are gonna find out every single detail, probably more than you'd ever want to know about a person. We might break the third wall a little bit. We're just gonna get into it, and every Thursday we're gonna have one of these videos out on the YouTube channel. So the very first photo, December 29th, 2012, is a picture of a wooden duck phone, and the caption is, "Yep, I have a duck phone," and it got 4 likes 529 weeks ago.
Is this like around the time that your obsession with duck decoys started, or was this kind of like way even before?
No, this is actually kind of where it started. I wanted to duck hunt, but I didn't have any money to buy duck decoys, and I would always see stuff like this and stuff on people's walls and whatever, and think like, well, they're just wood. Like
Can't
other
be too
people,
hard to
yeah,
make.
if other people can make them. Like, why can't I make them? Like,
Yeah.
I can find there's wood around me. Like,
Yeah.
I have knives, whatever, styrofoam. I can figure it out. But I was like very obsessed with pretty much anything that looked like a duck decoy. This is also the same duck phone that they had in Jersey Shore. It's not the actual phone, but it is the same iconic duck phone from Jersey Shore. And that was Tripp's parents. And that's like one of the memories that I have burned into my brain was going to visit them. They had lived in Cape St. Clair when I was growing up. And they had this duck phone that would quack. And it was like the most awful quacking noise. The eyes glowed red when it would ring and quack, but it would quack and ring when somebody called their house, but you couldn't hear anything. So they just had it like for the aesthetic. It was really bizarre.
So it wasn't a fully operational phone.
It
didn't
would like
function as a
somebody
phone?
would call and it would quack, and if it was working properly, it would, but it was broken. So like you would pick it up and the speaker was broken. You couldn't hear or talk. But it would quack, it would still ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it had like a plug you would plug into its butt and then plug into the wall as a phone line. It had a phone jack in it.
A duck butt plug.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Look at this picture. What else do you see in this picture?
A Kevin Fleming
A
book.
Kevin Fleming book. And that is a very, very important book in my life, actually. This is from 2012. But that book is one of the books that they had on their coffee table that I would look through, and there was pictures of Waterman. That was like the first time I had ever seen Waterman, was in these coffee table books that Bill and Jean had.
Yeah.
And that's what made me really want to be a crabber in the very beginning. Like, I didn't know what these guys were doing, but I thought, that is so awesome. That's what I want to do.
And then it was Kevin Fleming's son then who started photographing you when you actually became a waterman,
Yeah.
and now you're good friends now.
And now, yeah, Kevin Fleming's son, Jay Fleming, and I are really good friends now. That's so crazy. How crazy is that? So the second photo on my Instagram is from December 29th, 2012. I actually remember being in my grandparents' house in Cape St. Clair with my iPod Touch, posting these pictures of the duck phone and like this and stuff. This is the Nitro Circus logo. This is when they had like a show on MTV, and they were on top of the world. I mean, those guys are still my heroes, and it's crazy to think that now I'm like friends with the guys I used to watch on TV. Street Bike Tommy is a good friend of mine. I was watching him. He was my hero in 2012. Like, I'm an OG Nitro Circus fan. I mean, I watched everything leading up to Nitro Circus. We used to watch CKY, Viva La Bam on MTV, like all that stuff. And then Nitro Circus came out, and they were our hometown heroes because being from Maryland, like Travis Pastrana, Special Greg, I think Jim DeChamp is also from Maryland, Street Bike Tommy. But it was so crazy because like where I was posting this picture, they lived 20 minutes away. I mean, they're still my heroes. They're still awesome. Travis Pastrana, if you ever see this, we met, but you probably don't remember me. We got 3 likes. That was a lot back then. But I can see, like, you see the vintage, like, that was like one of the filters.
Yeah, that was my favorite Instagram filter. I think it was it Nashville?
So this was back then where like you were just taking like screenshots off the internet and like cropping them,
slapping a filter on
yeah,
it, and just
then
posting it
because it was cool. It was like.
And this one doesn't even have a caption.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So this is what number 3. We're gonna lose count hereafter. Like I'm gonna lose count hereafter.
Yep.
This is a picture of a fortune cookie. I guess it was 2 fortune cookies. I must have eaten one. And one fortune says, "Learn to be content with failure," and the other one says, "No one likes you, and they can barely pretend otherwise." And it got 8 likes on December 30th. 2012. That is really kind of painting the picture for
of your life?
The rest of my life at this time. The first one, that really is like it's a silly joke, but like that is something that has taken me until just recent years to really understand that concept, to learn to be content with failure. The other one says, "No one likes you, and they can barely pretend otherwise."
Did you feel like no one liked you at this point in your life?
Actually, at this point in my life, the crazy thing is, like, I was kind of struggling as a person. Like it was just a very weird time in my life. I would have been a junior in high school.
You would have
I guess,
been
at this
halfway
point.
through your junior year.
When I posted this picture, this was not near as profound to me. Like I think that this was probably just a funny thing. So this is, Froggy. You have some history with little Froggy yourself. This is my pet frog, who is still alive.
He's an African claw frog.
And I got him when I was 3 years old. My cousins, Josh and Matthew, grew him out of a kit for like a homeschooling project.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. They got a kit to grow what was supposed to be African dwarf frogs.
Yes.
And they grew these frogs, and they had one frog that grew a lot bigger. He was supposed to be about the size of the last piece of your pinky, and that's all the bigger he was supposed to be. And they said that they had one frog that kept eating all the other frogs and getting bigger and bigger. And they thought, this one doesn't quite look like the other ones. And I remember they had one that had one eyeball, and he didn't live real long. And they had another one that they accidentally dropped down the sink trying to clean his tank.
Oh, no.
And then Froggy was the only survivor. He is still alive to this day. It is 2023. And that frog is older than all of my siblings. He is old enough to drink, buy cigarettes, everything.
He's a senior citizen. So this frog has moved more times than I have in my adult life.
And he's survived.
He's very well traveled.
And Lindsay has a story about how she almost killed little Froggy. You almost ended my only childhood friend.
I did. So this would have been in 2013. So it was the year that your family moved back to Lancaster. It was right before Luke's senior year of high school. Froggy moved with them, of course, and they were going away for the weekend or something. And so we were neighbors at the time. I lived right across the street. And
this is where Lindsay kind of comes into the story. If you really want to get technical, the very first time we moved back to Lancaster, from the time I was like 3 to 5,
we would have been in the nursery.
We probably would have been in the same nursery in Sunday school together.
Yeah, when we were like 3-4 years old.
But that is probably that's the first time we crossed paths.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. My family had gone on vacation, and Lindsay was tasked, since she was the neighbor girl, the girl next door, to come over and feed little Froggy while we were away.
And hypothetically, this was a very easy thing to do, but I have a penchant for not following directions very well. So I guess he only gets 1 or 2 or 3 pellets a day.
Yeah, these little food
something.
pellets.
And I misread the directions or something and gave him far too many pellets.
Like that whole thing, she dumped like half the container.
I would not have done
it
that
was like
many.
half the. It was so many. It was like, how could a frog this big possibly ever displace that much food?
So he ate himself sick, and I guess almost died, and you will never let me forget.
No, and do you remember, it was at that time, it was like Twitter or something, remember?
Oh, did you tweet about it?
You remember that. Where I was like, the neighbor girl almost killed my frog or something like that. He's still with us. I will be very sad when he does pass, but he's how many years old now?
He's 23. Yeah, he's 23.
He's 23 years old now. A 23-year-old African claw frog. They do live that long. You can do that research.
So don't get one if you are not committed to having a frog.
Yeah, it's not a goldfish. It ain't a goldfish. This frog it's more like having a bird or a turtle. He gonna be around for like ever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 5th picture I have on my Instagram from January 2nd, 2013, and it got 4 likes. This is a picture of CJ Canby, who ended up being my mentor for crabbing and being a waterman and everything. He was a full-time crabber. He still is. He's still my mentor. But in this picture, I am in a layout boat, a duck hunting layout boat on the Chesapeake Bay. And it's a picture of CJ in the background with another layout boat. At the time, CJ's winter gig, he would run duck hunting guide trips. So this was when he had first kind of gotten into that, and he had these 2 brand new Mighty Layout Boys 2-man layout hunting boats. I mean, in 2013, nobody was layout hunting on the bay. It was really like a gimmicky thing. Like, people loved it though, and now everybody and their mother hunts out of layout boats. Like, if you don't have a whole layout boat, tender rig, the whole thing, You're not hunting ducks anymore. But this was like ground zero, OG, Mighty Layout Boys. They're not even around anymore. Some of the very first layout duck hunting boats there was on the market. It's just pretty crazy because this was like really some of the very first layout boat hunting on the bay. Like, people really didn't hunt like
I didn't
this.
know that it was that new of a phenomenon.
Yeah. He had to order these from like Michigan or something because people would use them on the Great Lakes to hunt divers and scoters, but it was a very new thing at the time. I was always obsessed with work boats, and I thought that was the coolest picture. His boat's a Kinnaman. It was really nice at the time. Now she's had some hard miles since then. Yeah, that's the FV Miss Paula. He does YouTube now. He's a huge part of my story and a huge part of my life, and so is hunting. All these pictures are kind of, leading up.
Every single one of them tells an important part of like a different facet of your story, of like something very important.
It's going to be really cool to watch how they kind of developed over time.
Picture number 6, it's the dead ducks.
And this is a bunch of Drake buffleheads on the tailgate of CJ's pickup truck that we had, I guess, probably shot that day duck hunting, I would imagine. Love to hunt ducks. Buffleheads are actually one of my favorite ducks. We have one up above the sink there, that one on the far left, that decoy.
Yeah.
That's a bufflehead. That's these ducks right here.
They're cute.
Yeah, a huge part of like my hunting and introduction to duck hunting had to do with buffleheads. Now people are too good to shoot buffleheads and whatever, but like in 2013, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to shoot buffleheads. I still do. Like, I still love it. But CJ's truck now, it was in decent shape then. Now it doesn't even have that bed on it. It's got like that flat bed on it.
Yeah.
It's all rusty and stuff. But that's a good one. That's a pretty good one to wrap this very first episode of this up on. I think this is going to be pretty cool. I think that, this is the best way to kind of tell this story. And it's not like some, like me trying to recount things. This puts you there, you know? This
it does.
I'm just going to talk about, what's here, and we're going to
learn
paint the
a
picture.
lot about Luke.
I'm going to learn a lot about Luke. She's going to learn a lot about Luke. It's really going to be something.
Our unfiltered reactions.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, some things probably didn't age well. So there could be some scandalous things. I have no idea. We are going to find out. It's going to be kind of a surprise every week. But yeah, tune in every Thursday. We're going to put one of these together every week. Every Thursday we'll have it out on the channel here.
Let us know what you think. This is something completely new for you. I'm not in front of the camera very often, so let us know what you think about the format, if you think we should change anything, or if you like it.
Yeah, and this, you're going to get to know me and a lot of my backstory, and just because of that and this, you're going to learn a lot about Lindsay, kind of get a good introduction to Lindsay, and how she has played a role in my story for a really long time, actually. 10 years, which is about when this was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so
2013.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really cool. So yeah, subscribe. Consider subscribing. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I wouldn't listen to me.
Consider giving us a thumbs up and a comment if you liked it. If
we want
you
feedback
didn't like it,
here.
you can keep it to yourself.
Or to let us know. Actually, don't. I have enough of that. We're looking for feedback. I've never seen anybody do this. This was just kind of a harebrained idea. If you guys think you're going to like this series, let us know, and we'll keep doing it. We'll see you next week.